What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Arrow Season 6, Episode 9, Irreconcilable Differences. So, I just wanted to thank Arrow and the writers of Arrow and all the people that are involved in making Arrow because, they really did me a service today. I've obviously been doing all these past reviews in my bed because it's been kind of difficult to get in and out of bed, so prefer to just stay in bed to do the reviews because I got injured. But yeah, Arrow did a really good job of making me forget about that injury because I was too busy slapping my forehead and, that started hurting and I forgot about most of that pain. So thank you, Arrow. I really do appreciate that. And the fact that I'm thanking them shows probably just how hard I hit my head. I'm hitting it so hard that it gave me a concussion and now I'm actually thanking them for being so stupid. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about this mid-season finale. So first of all, one of the things that I think really shows just how bad Arrow's gotten is you look at all the other DC CW shows and their mid-season finales. All of them felt like they had been building up to this. Arrow's did not. And what I mean by that is you look at The Flash. What has most of this season been about? We've seen the Thinker, we've seen him gathering all these metas, and then we see in the episode right before the whole crossover event, he finally meets the Thinker and goes through a little bit of an argument with him, and we see how the Thinker's sort of manipulating Barry and making him make some rash decisions. And then the mid-season finale sort of explodes that whole storyline. You look at Legends of Tomorrow. What's the big bad in this season? It's been Malice. It's been a lot of talking about him like he is some scary, far-off threat that they've got to worry about. But nobody's really been able to quantify him. And then finally, we get to meet him in this mid-season finale. It's like, holy crap, Sarah meets him and she's just like, this is crazy. Just something so evil exists. You look at even Supergirl. I hate Supergirl. I think it's one of the dumbest shows I've ever watched. But you look at what this entire season has been about. It's been building up Rain. It's been showing us Samantha and how she's got these powers and how she's dealing with it. And then finally she gets the powers and then reveals herself to the world. And then finally we have a climactic battle between Supergirl and Rain. It felt like it was building up to that at least. It wasn't great, but it still felt like it was building up to this moment. Arrow, it's been all over the place. We've had John being Arrow for most of this season. We've had Oliver trying to be family man Oliver, dealing with his son, dealing with does he want to marry Felicity or not. We got them dealing with all of this stuff. We've got the team dealing with John being in charge and then the mistrust of John because he's not able to do his job. None of that even plays into this episode. All of that stuff, the stuff with Oliver and his family, the stuff with John being the leader, the stuff with the team dealing with John, lying to them about his disability, none of that even plays in. So what was the point of all of that? Nothing. That is the biggest problem I have with this episode in general, is that all of this stuff, all of the storylines we've had to go through through this entire season, all the little things we've had to deal with to put up with, none of that culminates in this episode. It's all focused on one thing, and that is Caden James coming back and Oliver having to deal with the fact that one of the team members is apparently lying to him, and it's dealing with that storyline now. So now that Oliver's back in charge, that's what we've got to deal with. And even that is pretty stupid. So I'm going to dig into this as quickly as possible because frankly, it gets really dumb. So yeah, we've got Oliver finds out at his and Felicity's sort of reception for their wedding, which they're treating. God, this opening scene, it took so long, and all of these little pieces are just like, I wanted to punch somebody because of how annoying things were getting. You've got all these little side stories that I don't care about. So you've got Curtis is dealing with the fact that he, ever since he's lost Paul, he's apparently drinking a lot and he doesn't feel good at weddings and blah, 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 blah. Dealing with all of that stuff. I don't care. I never really cared about Curtis and Paul. I still don't care about Curtis and Paul. Wild Dog is talking to him about this stuff. And frankly, I don't really buy Wild Dog's actual interest in it because he's never really been a character that seemed interested in stuff like that. You've got Donna, Felicity's mom, shows up with her father, who is a supervillain last time I recall, unless something changed that I wasn't aware of. But yeah, she shows up with him, and apparently they're talking about reconciling. I'm just like, why do I care? And all of a sudden, Quentin steps in as they're dancing and just like to talk to her. And then there's all little like, oh my gosh, Quentin, you look really good. And I'm just like, really? Are we doing this? Are we doing a love triangle with Felicity's mom, Quentin, and Felicity's supervillain's dad? I mean, really? Oh my gosh, it just. I couldn't believe it when they threw that in. I'm just like, you're really gonna do this? This is really a storyline that you want to pursue. You think, oh, this is gonna be clever, guys. You think this is a good idea? How drunk were you when you started writing this script? They must have been very drunk because it was stupid. And ultimately, it didn't go anywhere. Quentin gets a call about the whole traitor on the team. Never hear anything from Donna for the rest of this episode. The reception, never heard anything about it for the rest of the episode. That was it. So yeah, talking about the traitor on the team, we go through, everybody seems to have their own reasons for possibly wanting to give Oliver up to the DA. We see Curtis is just like, do you ever feel like sometimes Team Arrow is just it'd just be better if it ended, talking to Wild Dog? I'm like, okay, so that's way too obvious, so clearly it's not him. Then we see Dinah talking to Vigilante, and apparently Oliver sees that as well, and so they're really suspecting her. I can't believe you did that. How could you turn against me? So I'm like, okay, that's too obvious. Clearly it's not her. So I guess it's got to be Wild Dog, but I don't know. That seems too obvious as well because he's kind of been the douchebag on the team, so he would be the one that people would suspect the most. But nobody ever suspects him, so I'm like, oh, I guess that's where we're going. Sure enough, he's ends up being the traitor. He's the one that talked to the DA and gave them the information that they needed. So yeah, we've got to deal with that. That's a lot of fun. Oliver obviously is just like, get out because you're betraying me. Eventually he decides, you know what, never mind, I'm going to give you a second chance because you're just doing what I would have done if my family member was in danger. If I never got to see William again, heck, he's lied to people before because of that. So yeah, it makes sense. But then they go to save Quentin, and what does Wild Dog do? Hey, I know, let's go off the script and let's go betray Oliver's trust again. And so then Oliver kicks him off the team, and then Dinah decides, I don't want to be on the team. Then Curtis decides, I don't want to be on the team. So the team is disbanded, and I don't care. Because you have to make me care about the team, and I don't care about the team. And I think I've talked about this before in a previous episode where I can't remember what was going on, but I remember it had to do with the team. It had to do with the members of the team. And I just remember thinking, you've got to make me care about these characters. You've got to make me want to be concerned that these characters might not be on the team or might quit the team. And I didn't care. I think it was last season, actually, when they first formed the team. All this talk about betrayal and Evelyn didn't want to be on the team, Wild Dog didn't want to be on the team, and I'm just like, I don't really care about all of this stuff, so why are you trying to make me care? You haven't given me a reason to. I don't like any of these characters. Same thing here. Dinah has been probably the most interesting out of these three, and even she's not really that great a character. Especially since we found out Vigilante was a past boyfriend or fiance or something, partner. Ever since we found that out, it's been kind of like, okay, so what are you going to do with it? And ultimately, nothing. We see in this episode, apparently he's texting her to try to contact her, and then she goes and sees him. And I'm just like, that's about all I know about Dinah. So, I don't know, it's just, they're trying to make me care about this team that I never truly cared about. And so now they're disbanding it, and there's no emotional reaction for me. So yeah, that's pretty much all there. I guess the other thing to talk about in this is the fact that Wild Dog, 2 seasons later, still pretty much going through the same exact story arc that we've seen before. The whole, he's a lone wolf, he doesn't need a team, blah, 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 blah. I've seen all this before. Why are we repeating storylines? Why can't you come up with something new and original? Oh, that's right, because your writers suck. So yeah, that was really dumb to see all of that. Trying to think of what else. Thea is out of the hospital, so obviously, we're going to talk to her a little bit. Mainly for her, though, the only thing that's really talked about is, one, we see she's walking Quentin home, and then Laurel attacks to take Quentin. She tries to fight her, but then gets easily beaten because obviously she just got out of the hospital. So she's kind of going through a little bit of an emotional crisis there, thinking, oh, I'm not strong enough to fight anymore, all that stuff. Let's see. That's about all that happens with her. Later on, she's the one that talks to Oliver to convince him, hey, maybe you should forgive Wild Dog for what he did, which ultimately doesn't mean anything in the end because Wild Dog, again, betrays his trust for no good reason. Trying to think what else. Dinah ends up going to Vigilante at the end of the episode to go back with him, I guess. I don't know. It's not like she can really be with him because she's still the police captain, so you can't just go start dating a Vigilante because I'm sure very soon the police force are going to go after Vigilante, so. Trying to think what else. I think that's about it for this episode. At the end, we see, after the team disbands, Oliver's talking to John and Felicity and just like, hey, we need to move on. We need to move forward and stop Caden James and what he's doing. He knew about the whole thing, so how did he know? And then we see that apparently Laurel planted a camera device inside of their base. So that's how he managed to know all of their plans and stuff. I'm assuming at some point they'll be able to find that out and either use that against him or something along those lines. But yeah, so that's about it for the main story. Now, we do have a couple other things to talk about. One in particular is Laurel and the fact that I'm still not entirely sure what they're trying to do with her. At first, it seemed like they were just going to make her a bad guy for the season, but now it seems like maybe they're trying to give her a redeeming arc because we see her talking to Quentin in this one, talking about how she remembers her father and how he died in a car accident or something like that, and then seems like she maybe bonds with him, and then after Cade James tells her to kill him, she just lets him go, and it's just like, oh, okay, well then, is she a good guy now? Is she a bad guy who just has a soft spot for Quentin? What exactly is all of this leading to? Because it feels like you're just going back and forth with her. One second she's talking about how he means nothing to her just because he looks like her father, and then now in this episode you're showing, oh, maybe he does mean something to her. They need to make up their minds. And also, Caden James, as far as he's concerned, we find out at the end, apparently he's formed a little bit of a team to take on Oliver. Laurel's in it, Vigilante's in it, Anatoly for some reason has joined him. I still think his motivations for this season have been completely just in shambles. Just out of nowhere, this longtime friend of Oliver Queen, just out of nowhere, is just like, oh, I hate you, Oliver, now. Now we are no longer friends, now we are enemies. And now he's working for Caden James out of nowhere. I'm just like, okay, so Anatoly all of a sudden is a bad guy, even though he's been nothing but a good guy for the past 4 seasons. We also see another guy, I think his name is, did he say Diaz? I don't know, there were 2 guys that looked familiar that I feel like I've seen before, either this season or last season, but I can't remember just by looking at them who they were, so hopefully, we'll be reminded whenever they get introduced again. But yeah, so we see Caden James does have a team in place to take on Team Arrow. Am I interested in it? Not really. Because, frankly, Caden James has not been built up enough as a good villain. He's only popped up a few episodes here and there this season. He hasn't really been the main focus of this season. And that's been the biggest downfall. I already talked about how none of this has really felt like it's been building up to this episode. But beyond that, you have to have a villain that's interesting. And Caden James isn't interesting. He could be. You have a hacker who has the ability to hack into anything and can be pretty intimidating at times, but no, they haven't really done anything interesting with him. Most of the season has been focused on Oliver trying to be a father and then trying to hook up with Felicity, and now they're married, and I just don't care about any of this. Like, you haven't done anything interesting this season. You've just been doing all this stuff that I don't really care about. Oliver with his family, Oliver and Felicity, which I forgot. There was actually one scene that was not funny. It was stupid, but I laughed because of how stupid it was. We see Oliver talking to these 2 people at the reception ceremony, and this woman and her husband, she's just like, Oliver, I always knew you and Felicity were destined to be together. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? What didn't I say? Yes, dear, you did. Yes, I knew. Even whenever you and her broke off your engagement, I told him. Didn't I tell you? Yes, dear, you did. I told him you and Felicity were going to be together forever. I just knew. I'm just like, wait a second. When did they allow fans to be on the show? Like, did they just film this? They had the cameras turned on one of these fangirls that were all, oh, Olicity, I ship them. And then, just completely heartbroken whenever they broke up and just like, oh, but they're still meant to be together. Do they, have one of those people show up on set and just like, ooh, let's film this. This is probably gonna be funny. And then she's just sitting there like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I always knew you guys would end up together. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Even though you two have nothing in common, she thinks you're hot, and you think she's hot, and that's all you guys need to be together forever and ever. It's the Supergirl formula. It works as long as you two are hot. That's all that you need to be together forever. Screw Barry and Iverson. They're years of working together and knowing each other for years and getting to know each other, and screw all that. No, you just need to be hot. That's all you need. And then all of a sudden you're going to work out forever. Argue all you want, disagree all you want, who cares? You just need to be hot. Good job, guys. So yeah, it was a stupid scene, but I kind of laughed because of how symbolic it was of this show's fan base. These two do not belong together, and no universe will they ever work out in the long run. But because all these All This City shippers are just like, oh, we need them to be together, the show writers are like, all right, we got you guys, and wrote it in. It doesn't make any sense, but it's the show in a nutshell. So that's about it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? Are you looking forward to the next half of the season? Because I know I'm not. Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Arrow reviews. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.